This week's episode is brought to you by the home and auto insurance brand Canadians trust most, Intact Insurance.
I come to you now as a very frustrated individual. I am doing this on my phone. Everybody else who looks fantastic. Meredith Shaw is our guest. Let me get that right off.
Hi!
Woo! So, without any further ado, I'm not going to ramble on about my crap. Meredith is, Sarah, give her just desserts. Caitlyn, give her just desserts. You guys are in media. I could ramble off and give an intro that would go on for 6 hours, but we just want the hard, cold facts of how amazing you are. Caitlyn knows you better than anybody, so Caitlyn, maybe you do it.
Okay, wait. Multi-talented media icon.
What?
Who can not only sing, a little known fact about Meredith is that she's an excellent singer.
Excellent.
You probably know her from taking over national morning television on breakfast television, previously of CHUM, previously of The Social, the most body positive, gorgeous, effervescent bottle of champagne that just opens up on camera every day for you. It is none other than Meredith Shaw, everybody.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really glad you did that, Caitlyn, and not Jann Arden, because that was great.
Well, you guys worked together for so long.
Oh my gosh.
And you
that
guys have got lots of Belle stories, which, we have a do not resuscitate, speaking about Belle. So, listen,
Is that what it's called now? Yeah. That's the clause.
Tell me everything, Meredith, that's going on in your life. I mean, you have just been absolutely doing such a brilliant job on breakfast television. Comes out of Toronto and it goes right across the country every morning. And we see your shining face, and the wonderful people that you work with have just embraced you. They have really adapted around the Meredith Shaw phenomenon about what Caitlyn mentioned, body positivity. The clothing aspect and styling, any body shape. For any occasion, they've kind of incorporated that part of what you brought to the show. How do you feel about how they have really embraced you and cheered you on?
First of all, I'm so excited to be here. I love this podcast. I'm a big fan of the podcast.
That's all the time.
Okay. I really am. I really am. And I didn't know if you'd have little old me on, because I'm hearing Chelsea Handler, and these are like big.
You've been on the
guests.
show before, Meredith.
I have. I know, but I anyway, I'm thrilled to be here. I love all three of you. Thank you for having me. And I like that you have called that out a little bit, Jan, because it's true. The show has been super supportive of welcoming me in a really active way. Like, I think sometimes that can get said, or people could say that about their coworkers, but it's really kind of a visceral environment. And I think that's why the show works and connects so much, is because they really focus on the people that make it up. Not only sort of the hosts, but right back to our audience. I mean, who we have on the show, what we celebrate on the show, what we give spotlight to on the show. It's really specific. And I think that specificity allows the show to be even more kind of universally accepted. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes stuff is too broad. And I think we really get into the nitty gritty of, sometimes too nitty gritty, quite frankly, of the goings on in my life, and my blended family, and my relationship, and you kind of got to give it all. But then you walk out and about in life, and, then people kind of know all these little bits and pieces about you. And the relationships that I have with people ongoing is a really beautiful thing, but it still stumps my mother. My mother is still like, do you know them? And I said, no. No, I mean, not specifically, but, kind of. And then the next person will come up and are they your friend? Well, yeah. So it's been a beautiful thing, a lovely thing. Yeah.
Being a public person, I'm sure for parents and friends, that, you can be in a restaurant, you can be out there with 4 of your friends having a drink, and the server just beelines it to you, asks you for your drink order, and walks away, and everyone else is sitting there going, are they going to take my drink order? And people just get excited. I got to meet your mom.
You sure did. That was very special. I mean, I can't think about it too hard or I'll get emotional. Although you taught me, Jann Arden, that crying is not a bad thing. You don't have to be concerned about people when they cry. Cry is joy coming out of your body. And I love that because I that makes so much sense to me because I often get emotional when things mean something to me. And I was a bit embarrassed about that part of myself. But you came on breakfast television. You're like, no, emotions are a good thing, and tears sometimes mean the opposite of what everyone associates tears with. So it was very joyful for me to have you meet my mother. We've shared, oh gosh, just so many conversations about you, Jann, over the years, because you were such a you were such a central beacon for me as growing up. Just I don't know, just
Meredith
looking at you and thinking,
stop this right
no,
now.
it's true. It's just the truth. It's the truth. I mean, I go on other podcasts and they don't understand what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I gotta stand on this podcast. Yeah, it was very special to be able to stand there and sort of introduce my mother to you. She loved it and loved the craft services backstage at your show.
I think we had a cherry tomato and a bottle of water. It was not very exciting.
I know, good. It was a fantastic show, and then that was the show, the tour that you were on with the wonderful Rick Mercer, and you sang a cappella "Good Mother" for us.
Well, it was
Mother's Day.
The girls came too. Caitlyn and Sarah were both there. The evening. No, did you guys come to the afternoon?
Yeah, we were the evening show.
And that was the only time I sang across the country was just Mother's Day, I figured. How have you been doing as far as getting up in the mornings, dare I say?
Yeah, you dare. I mean, it's the reality. It's early.
Caitlyn knows this so well.
Early. Yeah.
Well, so does Meredith too, though. Like, you are not unfamiliar with it because Meredith was Marilyn's longtime vacation fill-in on the CHUM morning show. So Meredith and I would sit. I'm going to keep doing this because your names start the same.
My mother's name is also Marilyn, so I've been called Marilyn and Meredith, and then it just sort of continues, and it's a great compliment. Yeah,
it is ultimately. But so Meredith and I together would like be side by side before the sun came up, running vampire hours at CHUM. But it's very different than what you're doing now because you have to be full glam now. Like now you're on TV doing full glam, so that is a different. And you always looked fabulous in the morning. Like I would roll out of my Uber, like hair like unwashed, like now, like still
like I am right now.
Yeah. And I would look over to my right and you just see Meredith would have a ring light on and she'd be like doing her makeup. And I was like, okay, this is why you're good for TV.
So much of radio is on television now. Like you're like on screen. It used to be kind of you rolled in and did the thing, but now it's
we're on control guarding the brain. Meredith was just like, hello. Anyway, so yeah, you knew it from then.
Well, yeah, I mean, that whole process, look, I find all that stuff fun. I really do. I mean, I think it's a really interesting form of expression. I've always had so much respect and love for makeup artists and hair and, growing up in that fashion world, they're so talented. And in television too, I mean, Angela and Chloe are the two people that set me right as I go off into this show. I mean,
are these your hair makeup people?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And they are, a lifeline. Not only do they make it all look all right for TV, but the conversations we have and the generosity and care that they have for me. I don't know if I would be able to do it without them. Honestly, it's like it's such an important piece, and not for the looking good part, but for the feel of it all. So yeah, the mornings are definitely early. It appeals to me though. There's something about the rhythm of it all that kind of it doesn't feel raw, if that makes sense. I think for some people it just doesn't quite work with their circadian rhythms. I've always sort of been able to adapt to what I need to be doing because I spent many years playing music late, so I've been on the opposite schedule. But I've definitely flipped into this morning routine. But at 10 a.m. I'm like, okay, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done for the day.
That's the other side of that coin. Listen, we know very well here at the Jann Arden Pod about sponsorships with companies that come on board and buy into like what you're selling and want to be partnered up with you. And you've got a really great partnership right now that I find so interesting and such a perfect fit for you. Tell me about Penningtons and tell me about how that came about and what that means to you to be with a brand that celebrates women, he, she, they, them, whoever wants to wear their clothes. And what a great fit for you. Tell us about Penningtons.
Yeah. Thank you. First of all, I totally agree and co-sign with everything you just said. That's why I'm working with them. I mean, their ability to show up for a huge portion of the population that does not get a lot of fashion brands showing up for them is really special. And with this brand in particular, I started as a customer. I was a customer for years, and I still remember. Additionelle is a brand that is now within the Penn umbrella, but Additionelle was a standalone store. And when I was growing up, I've always been a bigger kid. And so I can remember going into that store and putting like another bag on top of it when I would leave the store, like walking around. Because I just, right? I know. I can still feel that girl. Like I just feel her inside me. And I think if anyone has had that kind of experience before, it's a reaction that resonates with people because maybe they have done that too, but they've never said it out loud before. And so to be able to now kind of flip that experience, even just for myself, and then to be able to translate that, for other people, it's really meaningful to me. So yeah, I mean, this is a partnership, like you say, that's sort of the way the world is these days in terms of, funding art and projects but this is different. This is really a meaningful one all the way through my bones. And so to be able to have worked with them in this way, to create this summer dress collection was really cool. That's an edit that I have. And then we've got, I've been designing, and that holiday collection is going to be coming out under
but
my
you're designing.
name.
You are designing, and you have a hand in putting together the freaking looks, colors, patterns, how they're cut, the waistlines, the sleeve puffs, the everything. I mean, do you have a background in that at all? How the hell does a person go about doing this?
No, I'm just a girl who's putting on a lot of clothes that has a lot of opinions about it, I guess. I don't know. I don't. I mean, I grew up in that fashion industry. I spent a lot of times on set as a model.
Well, you're a fashionista.
Observing, and I got to see mainly the stuff that wasn't working with brands, mainly the stuff that, I'd be on set with, the different categories. There was straight size models. So, the more traditional like model you think of, they'd be on set and they'd shoot their stuff. And then, I'd be the plus size girl, the curvy girl model. And, they'd have 17 looks to shoot. And I'd have like one bedazzled, oversized tiger tunic. And I'm like 14. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't understand why this is happening. Like, why are we making this garment? I don't know.
I bought that
bedazzled
tunic because of you.
Well, I got a lot of apologies to make. We're starting here. This is the atonement. Yeah, no, it was a strange industry for a little while of like, I don't understand who's making these rules. It's certainly not women who are wearing these clothes ultimately. And I think that's where the expertise comes from is my personal experience, and then really getting curious with the business, how it works, how designers work. And then, Marilyn Denis gave me a huge platform on her show to work with women and different bodies, and the amount of clothes I put on different people. And there's some things that just hold true, and some cuts just work, no matter where you carry your weight or where, if you're big or small or whatever it is, I really got to know that piece of it. And ultimately you got to have choice. You got to have things that excite you, that affirm who you are. And I'm doing it. So it's really exciting. It's very exciting.
Years ago, I was in New York. It would have been the 90s. So we're talking, 20 plus years. But I was with a stylist, and we were doing something for the David Letterman show. So you can imagine my excitement was unbelievable. And of course, I had no fashion sense. I kind of wore my jeans and my Mac jackets and my Doc Martens and had my long red hair, and I darkened in my mole, and I wore my red lipstick. I mean, that was my spiel, right? And I thought it was good enough. And shame on me for buying into the idea that wasn't going to cut it. So, but we were going into these shops. I don't know. I want to say Soho because that sounds cool, but I don't know where the fuck we were. And every store we went in, they didn't have above a 10. And I was barely a 10. I would have been a 12 up top. I had the D cups going on. And
Oh, yeah.
so, but anyway, I remember my humiliation, and you touched on that, you know, having the bedazzled jumper or whatever that it was that you were supposed to model. But I remember that day and the things that they ended up getting for me. I ended up with a Donna Karan shiny suit that I still have to this day. And it was so tight around the tummy. And I remember them pinning it kind of under the shirt because the waist was simply too tight. And I couldn't get it up. But the stylist insisted that this was the fucking way for me to go to pull these pants on. Not only did I have a camel toe, I had a camel 2-toe. And maybe a 3-toe. And maybe there was some kind of a toe in the back as well.
Like a sloth, a 3-toed sloth.
Thank you, Caitlyn.
You're welcome.
And I just remember my whole experience with David feeling humiliated. And I never really concentrated on singing or... So we all, I think, as women, regardless of your size, have those memories of maybe something you wore for a high school picture, or
Oh, for sure.
just like, why did I wear that shirt? And you thought it was cool. But what do you say to women that, much like me in 1996, couldn't find my voice to say, no, I'm not wearing that. I don't need to do that for the office, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the tragedy of it is if you don't rise around it a little bit, then your experience, and like the one you were speaking of, it becomes about that as opposed to the thing that you're actually there to be celebrated by. And the thing that really broke it away for me, because I've had multiple, I mean, not with David Letterman, but multiple experiences in that space. And it's like, it's about, once you see it, that it's about control. Like, once you see that it's a matrix, and a lot of it exists because they want us to spend money and fix ourselves and change who we are and get distracted from our purpose. And there's a lot of things at play. And once I think you see it for that, for what it is, I don't think you can square that off with yourself to not show up in a different way. It's like, I'm not spending all this time and love and energy and effort, and then I'm going to be derailed by someone else's agenda of what I should or could be doing. It's like, fuck you. That's not, like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not, why am I doing that for you? Like, I think it's really turning around, seeing it for what it is, which is an economy, you know, and you don't have to show up in someone else's economy. Like, just because those stores aren't carrying above a size 10, you think nobody in New York is above a size 10? Give me a break. Like,
I know, it was so bizarre.
But you were
but
also...
the stylist fully knew that going in.
Yeah.
She would literally say to me, and I forget this woman's name, probably on purpose. She would literally say to me, they're probably not going to have your size in here, but let's just go see what they have.
Shame,
And-
shame, shame, shame,
But,
shame,
I mean,
all the way
fact
through.
that you've been cut out right now, Poppy.
Hi, Poppy. No, Poppy's advocating for you. Poppy's
Yeah.
angry.
But
Yeah.
the fact that, you know, and then, so now I'm already rattled. But you know what, Meredith Shaw? I never did it again. I think about 3 weeks later, I did Good Morning America in Jasper. They had come up to Canada to shoot the show from Canada to do
I
something.
remember watching you on that show. I
Well,
remember
I had on a
that.
jean jacket, my
Yep.
jeans. I had on my boots that were like welder's boots with steel-toed tips and the little tassels on the toe. And I had on my plaid shirt and my red lipstick. And I just thought I never did it again. Because that night in the hotel, I thought, I'm never, ever going to have somebody tell me how I am comfortable, how I need to dress for the fucking label in
Yes.
America to have people accept me so they'll buy my record. Oh my God, what a ditz I was. I did.
No, but I'm going to take that all off you because it wasn't that at all. I mean, I remember being in that era. There was no this conversation in that era. None. Zero. I mean,
You don't think so, Caitlyn?
No, I don't, because I remember being like younger and thinking that, you know, when I looked at women in music especially, they were so thin. I mean, my God, they were thin. And I had right around that time had jaw surgery. And I as a result, I couldn't eat for a while. Like I was on like a liquid diet. So I lost a ton of weight. I'm already a teenager. I've lost a bunch of weight. Wasn't I asked about modeling randomly on the street when I was like physically unwell? Like I looked like a skeleton with like a candy apple head. And I was approached multiple times. And again, this isn't me tooting my own horn. It wasn't because I was like, they were like, oh, look at this like face of a goddess. They were like, oh, look at this terribly thin person who looks unwell. That's what we're going for. And I was like, okay, so no, this is not realistic and this is not healthy. And I think of like, look at like Gwen Stefani. Like I was like, Gwen Stefani was like out there with her like washboard abs, and you're like, that's fine if that's you, but like, how come there's no reflection of the actual statistical women in society part? Like, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it was a very different time, and we're definitely, the progress is there. I think there are things that are slipping all over the place and control being taken. And, as soon as any talk of bodies begins and limiting people's ability to advocate and control their own bodies, like that's like a mayday of all kinds of issues societally. But I think in that specific way too, it's so interesting to me that like, if we go back to that New York story, like you're supremely successful. That's why you're there. It's all working. That's why you're there. And then a stylist, somebody else, and it can be anybody for anybody listening, like any influence in a life is like, well, actually, I know you're doing really well all on your own, but I have an idea on how to make it better and how it can go to another level. And I think that's the moment to resist and to stay open to, of course, people's creativity and input, but not to erase yours for theirs. And I think that's been a true understanding for me, is that the more I show up as myself, it's like the hardest, easiest thing to do. It was the hardest thing for me to understand how to do. I was always sort of pleasing and contorting and twisting and changing and showing up how I thought someone else would make, and the moment I don't know, I got so sick of that, I couldn't do it anymore. I'm not sure. Had a few more candles on my birthday cake. I don't know what it was exactly, but now
a combination for sure.
A combination. But now it almost feels like I'm doing something illegal. I'm like, this is so easy. and y'all love it. Y'all love this. Like, I don't, wow, this is beautiful. So if you haven't cracked into that space yet and you're listening, I mean, A, you're listening to the right podcast, but B, I think that's the rub, is just, it's hard until it's not. And then you'll never, ever go back. And
don't you feel a little bit like, sorry, Jan, but
go.
A little bit like, because I know from working with you and like getting like DMs and messages and like talking to people who know that I know you, that it's like the fans and especially like the women who listen to the show and watch you now on breakfast television, like they always knew and loved you, but it's almost like the structures, like the bigger structures, the bigger organizations, like that part of it
Definitely
the part that confuses you. But then the fans are like, we loved you the whole time and got it. And the people who didn't get it, they didn't get it. They're not your fan, whatever. That's totally fine. But it's like the people who get you and connect with you when you're being your authentic self, that seems to be the part that the powers that be don't always understand and like mess with. And I'm like, you're messing with perfection. You're messing with the thing that's going to be the connection point for everyone who loves your talent. And so, I mean, kudos to you, because you've always been like that. Like, you're so like yourself, and you bring that out in other people and make them comfortable. And I also feel like that's some good media intelligence. Like, you could be like a professor in media. Like, you could teach media literacy classes, because you're like, I get how this whole thing works, and like, I'm going to do it my way.
Just being cognizant of time. I know Meredith has a meeting in like 5 minutes, but maybe you could speak about like a time when you had such a profound impact on a listener or a viewer.
Love that.
I think back to something really recently we introduced something called the Meredith Makeover on breakfast television, and I worked with an incredible woman named Carrie, and we had a really emotional moment in a change room. And everything was going very well, like in terms of it was fun, and we were connecting and we were shopping, and then there was just a moment in the change room where the reality of trying clothes on and sort of also the reality of being filmed in a certain aspect came to bear, and the well broke open, and she was very emotional about how she just wished she could feel differently about herself. She has a consciousness that she's a great mom, and she shows up to work, and she has great friends, but she doesn't feel it, like, and that's what wardrobe can do. It can confront you with some of those worthiness feelings. And I just was able to stand with her in that feeling. And I think that was powerful. I didn't try to fix it or take it away. It was like, I've been exactly where you are. And I think she thought I wasn't where she was, like that I didn't know what that felt like. And I think sometimes maybe you see people on TV or you see people out and about and you think, they've got some other thing figured out. But the figuring out only comes because the depths of the reality was there at some point. And so I thought it was really powerful to be able to be with her in that moment, and then to see her come through the other side, and to get messages from her now, and to sort of see her come out in an outfit, look at herself in the mirror, and her eyes changed. And it really was this idea of like, oh, I got it. Like, I don't need to be smaller or bigger or any of that racket. I can just, put on a better pair of pants.
Well, a lot of us always go to the same clothes all the time too. We think we can't wear that. We can't wear that empire waist. We can't do that sort of, that kind of a cut. We can't do a short sleeve above the elbow. We can't, we can't do this. So we're so mired down by our own idea of what looks good on us that I think a lot of us don't have a fucking clue what looks good on us. And we do need a Meredith Shaw to go, you can wear that short jacket. It doesn't need to, it doesn't have to cover your bum and your thighs all the time. And like we all need it. We all need them. Sorry?
The size of the clothing should like fit you. It's not like you don't have to shrink to fit into a certain size of clothing. You just get a different number.
Yeah. It's not you, it's the clothes.
Yeah,
I hear stylists use that all the time.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's permission to follow what you love.
My closet there's everything in my closet. I've got every size in the world, and clothing, the labels, they can't decide what a small, medium, and large is. I find it very laughable sometimes what a large is. I can't even get my fucking arm into the jacket, and I'm like, this is a large? In what world? Am I in Tiny Tot Town? Is this Gap Kids? Where am I right now? Listen, Meredith Shaw, Pennington has picked a queen.
Thank you, Dan.
And I hope that partnership lasts a long time. I cannot wait to wear a Meredith Shaw dress this summer. And I'm going to be looking for it. Keep us in touch. Keep Meredith Shaw. It's at Meredith Shaw on all her socials.
That's right.
You can watch her on breakfast television 5 days a week.
Yeah.
It goes right across the country. And if you want to start your morning off with a smile on your face and a lot of laughs, I've been on the show, and you guys make everyone feel so welcome. You have great co-hosts with you. And I'm just glad that they let you be you. And they saw breakfast television, winner. They saw you, and Caitlyn said it so succinctly. The fans already knew. They already loved you. But anyway, we're so glad you're a friend of our show. You're welcome back here anytime.
Thank you. Thank you. I love all of you. This is better than a cup of coffee, that's for sure. My gosh.
It is.
What a lot of love. Thank you so much.
Okay. We'll see you soon. And I'll get up early tomorrow and watch and see what's happening.
Okay.
And if you ever want to do a makeover on any of the three of us, I think me and Caitlyn and Sarah, we're more than happy to come on the show someday to do us a makeover. We're happy to do that.
Yeah, Jane will wear her trucker hat and we're all set.
Okay, don't hang up. Don't hang up, okay?
$75. I stole it from Michael Bublé.
Stop it.
I mean,
did.
That's a good flex.
Well, welcome back to the Jann Arden podcast. I'm here with Caitlyn Green and Sarah Burke, and that was our very, very special guest, Meredith Shaw. She's so great.
I like Meredith.
If you're still listening, Meredith, we love you, and you are so positive, and she's so beautiful. Like, that girl is just drop dead good looking. Like, she's beautiful because of a whole myriad things, not just physically, not just the way she carries herself, but the way she treats other people. She's truly one of those interviewers. Anytime I've talked to her, You're always the star. It's never about her. She doesn't ask you a question and then insert her own experience. Well, I've got a story that's, she's just very much gives you that seat of importance. And I can imagine crying in a dressing room with Meredith standing there beside you, showing you a way to put clothes on your body that you never even considered was possible for you, and being very emotional by having the person looking back in those god-awful dressing room mirrors that we all shun away from.
Yeah.
And actually going, is that me? Like, am I wearing this shirt and those pants with the high waist and this and that? So I would imagine it would be a pretty mind-boggling experience to get a makeover, like, period.
Oh my
On
gosh.
TV, on national TV.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's that too.
And it's not some people, it obviously, especially if you're already dealing with body, image issues, to then like put yourself out there to do that. I think it's such a testament to her sort of confidence and where she's coming from. And it's not like phony confidence. It's not like it's not like an insincere confidence. It's like really like, but it's from like deep inside and from going through all the things that she's gone through in her life, obviously too.
Yeah.
And it's a real skill, darn it. Yeah, I loved working with her. It was like when she would come in and fill in for Marilyn when she was on vacation, it was just like her and I were like, I felt bad for Jamar. He was like third wheeling it. She and I were just like cry laughing on and off the air.
And try on your bras live on air.
Oh yeah, trying on our bras live on the air. We were just like, and both from Toronto, so like so much in common. And she's very, very funny. Also, she has a fabulous sense of humor, and it's been really exciting to see her paired with Sid, which I think is such a good match on BT, and just like get along like a house on fire. It's great.
Yeah, there's a good crew over there. It's a really, being on that set, being over in the building where they shoot breakfast television it's just so joyful. Like, from the people that take you and put you into the green room and say, those 2 croissants, you can cut them up 6 ways. Those are for you guys. And there's no coffee. The coffee sucks, but there's that. And I mean, it's just such a nice vibe. Some buildings you go into and it's just, the energy is palpable from the ground up. You're like, everyone here is miserable.
And not only that, like people who you can tell don't like each other. Like, I've been in a lot of rooms and a lot of studios and media, and I don't know, when the vibe is off, it's off. And I think viewers and listeners, I think they know. And so that's why, like, their ratings have skyrocketed since she joined.
Have they?
Oh yeah. And it's just because,
like, more than what they were?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, don't directly quote me on that, but I think so. And it's just, in my view, it's because when something works and when there is that chemistry that you just can't put your finger on, it's magic in a bottle kind of thing. People watching know, like, they know.
Yeah.
Can you tell I just put a ring light on?
Ooh, look at you glowing.
Is it
I
worse?
need to do that. Can we talk about something that happened to me that
Oh,
was like,
please. I want to know everything that's going on. I wanted to catch you guys up on my Scotland trip. I wanted to ask what was going on in your world, because I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in a long, long time.
You haven't.
We did a pre-tape before I went away so that I didn't have to worry about recording from, when I was at the UK. But anyways, go. Tell me everything.
So this past Saturday, I went to go see one of my favorite, I almost want to say, he's stand-up, but he's a performer as well. He does comedy songs, like original songs that he writes. He's very everything under the sun, and his name is Chris Fleming. So he had 2 shows at the Royal Theatre. I went to the early one, and he referenced you, Jann, probably 5 times during the show. And at one point broke out into like a short version of him singing Insensitive. And I was like, you're not supposed to record anything because a lot of it's his new material. And so I was trying to sneaky record it without pointing my phone at him. And my girlfriends who I was with, like, we were all trying to get it. We could not get good audio of it.
What was he saying about me?
So he was talking about, it started because he was saying how when he's in Canada, he notices just the difference between things in the US. And he said, here in the US, if you open Netflix, the thumbnail they use for Scarface is Al Pacino with the machine guns, like, going crazy. And he said, here, it's like a glamour shot of Al Pacino just holding his head on his hand or whatever. And then he joked that like Insensitive is playing in the background. And he's like, and they've got Jann Arden in the background. If I hadn't really known at the time. And then other people in the audience started singing it because they know it so well. And so it was just like this hilarious, and then he kept doing it because it hit at first time. So you became like a callback for Canadian culture.
Oh my God, you're
in
welcome.
The show. Truly, you're welcome. I actually DM'd him after to be like, I just had to say that I co-host a podcast with her, and holy shit, that was funny. So he hasn't even read it. I think I just probably went into his like weirdo request bin, but anyways, I had to mention it because I was like, that's how synonymous you are with Canadian culture, that he even knows this.
That is very touching, I think. When you're in a comedy show, it's like, am I a national joke somehow? What is happening? But it really is a blessing to have a song like that is so sort of omnipresent and culturally whatever it is. But like
he
I said,
loves female singers, and he constantly talks about how he's this very androgynous, like he wears women's suits on stage that are like glittery. He has like long curly hair. So he really presents himself as sort of the antithesis of the stereotypical masculine energy. And he's
ambiguous.
He is. And he talks a lot about how his male friends will listen to one thing, and male comedians especially will listen to one thing. And he's like, I can't talk about sports with other male comedians. I'm like, so what do you think of Annie Lennox? And like, he's like, I have nothing in common with them. So it really was in tune with his comedy and also with his audience, clearly, because like it hit when he said it. It was like, it really clicked. So,
I love that. Well, we all know
great.
who went to see this guy, obviously.
Yep.
You sent me something else this morning, and I wrote you back. I went like, Jesus, what does that even mean?
Which part?
My phone, I can't look up.
Was it hot? Was it hot rodent boyfriend summer?
Yes.
Okay. So, there's always, like dad bods or short king summer for short men, whatever.
Yeah.
And he actually talked a little bit about this in his comedy show too. It's come up on a few other podcasts I listen to. How do men get rebranded to be hot when they're just typically not hot? Right now, you have actors like Jeremy Allen White and one of the two actors from the movie Challengers. He played Prince Charles on The Crown, the younger Prince Charles.
Yeah, I know who it is, but I don't know what his name is.
Yeah, and so and then Barry Keoghan, the Irish actor who was in Saltburn,
who's
and
a very
Banshees of Inisherin.
strange-looking guy.
Okay, so this is the thing. So now everyone's like, ooh, it's like all these publications and all these outlets are like, it's hot rodent boyfriend summer. I'm like, what? What? How come women never get this? We never get like Cankle Queen summer. We never get like greasy hair girly summer. We don't get rebranded. We get stuck in like the same loop of conventional good looks only all the time.
They said rodent.
I got some names.
Rodent boyfriend summer.
Art Donaldson or Patrick Zweig? Is that who we're talking about?
I think it's Art Donaldson.
It's Art
Donaldson.
He
and
plays Mike Faced. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the guy who he has like kind of like bigger ears, and he does look a little bit rodenty. And that's fine. I'm not like knocking how
well, we'll never have him on the podcast.
He's like, that's it. But it's just become this talking point about these unconventionally attractive men who are being branded as heartthrobs. And the PR for a weird looking guy is working overtime, like working hard at rebranding just kind of like strange looking men as hot. And I just feel like we don't get this.
So what women would be in that category? Let me ask you guys that, because I happen to love interesting looking people. And I've always been attracted to very different looking, not classically beautiful or classically handsome. I know that my little wheelhouse it just encompasses really different looking things, whether it's a crooked nose or a tooth that's going sideways, or just, I really like interesting people that are so confident and have embraced themselves so much that they are just like, boom, it's just like this explosion of energy around them. So what do you think, what women would fit into that in your mind's eye that we could kind of make that comparison?
We don't really want to call women rodents, I don't think.
No, but I feel like, is Juno Temple, would she fit into that category?
Who's she?
She was in, oh gosh, Ted Lasso. She played the young woman who was the English girl that went out with the main soccer player with the beard and stuff. She
plays Keely.
Yeah, Keely in Ted Lasso.
Oh, isn't she supposed to be like an underwear model in that?
I mean, she's
I guess so,
definitely
but I
got-
find her
yeah.
very differently. But there's just so many people. I find Elizabeth Moss to be kind of a very interesting, not classically beautiful, but yet she's quite stunning. I could even put Barbara Streisand into that category of
Mhm.
someone who, if you look at the sums of her parts, you know, a close set eyes and her nose was such a huge part of her career.
Mhm.
And probably very responsible for the sound of her voice and how she sang. But Bette Midler, I think, would fit into that category of someone who strikes us as powerful, strong, beautiful. Maybe
I
that's
think Tilda Swinton comes to mind for me. because I
very
feel that
much so.
she
That's
has,
what I
like-
mean. So who would
Like
those
Tilda
be?
Swinton has swagger, right? Like, because I feel like that's that X quality you can't really account for with someone where she's very self-assured and very stylish and like statuesque, and she just has a presence about her for sure.
Shout
But
out to Leslie M., who had a book out a couple of years ago called Swagger.
Oh, okay.
So Leslie M., and she speaks to a lot of those things that each of us has to
But I
address
just
your
feel like
swagger.
Hollywood doesn't give that same treatment to women as like a group. You know what I'm saying? There's never sort of the equivalent of a hot rodent boyfriend summer that happens for women and then applies to just regular women. So I found that to be funny because that's like a trend that's going around now where everyone's talking about all of these men, and Barry Keoghan's in the new Sabrina Carpenter music video because they're dating. And so it's this whole new thing. And I'm like, okay, he might be a great actor, but like, can we not call, like, I just don't feel like we need to call him hot.
I'm still traumatized by the nude dancing at the end of,
I
you
know.
know,
But like,
you
people
know,
thought he was hot then. And I'm
Saltburn.
like,
Saltburn. I
Yeah.
sat there and I'm like, I want to get up and leave, but no one's leaving. And everyone's just glued to the big screen right now. This wiener swinging around. And I
it was
don't know
cringe
if
for
you've
me.
seen Saltburn, Sarah, but
I haven't.
you know what? I'm going to say don't watch it. I think Caitlyn and I disagreed on this movie. Did you not like it? You really liked it.
No, I didn't like it.
Okay. Sorry. I can't remember who didn't.
So don't waste my time. Got it.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I wouldn't
fine.
waste your time. I would watch Superman again with Lois, you know, with Margot Kidder. Just go there.
Okay.
If you're looking for something to watch. Yeah, I'm just yeah, rodent. I'm kind of a little bit off put by that, Caitlin, to be honest. The hot rodent summer. If I was a man that was written about in the context of that header,
Right?
I would feel really sad.
Would you? Because
Yeah,
they're all
I don't
would.
think I would take that as, oh, hey, they're really thinking that my weirdness, my something that's kind of sticks out of the norm is going to be appealing this summer.
But they're I will say, like, they're very successful in the dating world, these men. And like Jeremy Allen White, who you might know from The Bear, he looks a lot like a young version of Gene Wilder. Like he's like the new Gene Wilder.
I find him super cute.
So that's what I'm saying. And he's a Calvin Klein model. So like I don't think they're bothered by it because I think they're truly being branded as hot. Yes, the word rodent is unflattering, but I do believe that they genuinely get the
He's
hot.
hot. He's hot.
But so but I'm just saying there's no equivalent for women. This doesn't happen for us.
But this is what I was asking you. That
Yeah.
you said Tilda Swinton. What about younger people? Like
I'm trying to think.
there's got to be some young women that are, you know, left of center, so to speak, as far as their visual.
And like I think that they would be beautiful, but I just feel like we don't. Yeah, we need a straight man's take
The
on
Tilda thing makes kind of sense.
I wish
I
Meredith Shaw was still here.
She would hate that we're talking about people about their bodies, but I think.
I don't think this said anything about bodies as per se. This felt like a facial thing.
Sure.
I just think it's a PR treatment again
Yeah.
that female celebrities are never on the benefiting end of. It's never like big hand girl summer. Like it just doesn't It just doesn't happen.
What a comparison.
So it's like there's just, we're always treated as like conventionally good looking, and then that's sort of like the goal and that's it. Whereas I
Yeah.
just think that men get a lot more character out of it. And I really feel that like as a PR group, we need to band together and be like, can we get a cool, quirky beauty rebrand for the summer?
I see what you're getting at.
I
yeah.
want that for us as people. There.
Well, as a side note,
Mhm.
speaking of summer, I've been adding like crazy to the Jann Summer Jams Spotify playlist. So I must have put 25 songs on there yesterday. I don't know what you guys are going to think of that. And before we leave the celebrity thing, I'd be remiss to not touch on this at all. I've been very excited about the Celine Dion documentary that's coming out on Amazon. Caitlyn's face.
I'm going on Monday. I'm going to the TIFF premiere on Monday.
Okay, I'm so jealous. So anyway, there's little clips that are surfacing. One in particular, Celine is talking to an interviewer that we cannot see. They are off camera. And she's explaining to them how the stiff body syndrome disease that she has, which is very, very rare, which has knocked her obviously out of her Vegas residency, out of her world tour. It has stopped her professional life completely. Anyway, she was sitting there and she looked, very lovely, hair pulled back, no makeup. And she's speaking very candidly to this guy, and they were talking about breathing, and she was saying, I can take a breath in. She was trying to explain how it's affected her singing. So I'm watching this clip. And then she says, and this is what happened. She goes, I can take a breath in, but she said the stiffness, the hardness that is pushing against her, that's part of the disease. She went to sing one of her famous lines in one of her tunes. And it was shocking. Like nothing came out. It was just a gravelly, stunted, blunted note. And she started crying, and she said, I can't, this is what I'm dealing with. And she was just distraught. I started crying.
I'm like emotional hearing this.
I started crying because I've seen her. I cannot count the times that I've seen Celine Dion sing over the last 30 years. I have been a fan from the beginning. And she said, I can't believe that I'm showing this to you and that I am letting you hear what has happened to my voice. And she goes like, and then she crumbles. And I'm cannot wait. I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary, and I'm dreading it at the same time because I think it's such an she's exposing her very soul. I mean, obviously singing is everything, how she misses people. She misses the stage. I mean, let's face it, this kid, this is all she's known since she was 8 or 9 years old.
I know.
The supremacy. And I'll tell you what, her voice is nothing short of perfection. I've never heard anybody better. I've never heard anyone sing like that in my life. Every note is live. It's none of this fucking bullshit that we hear now. I swear to God, sorry, Shania Twain. You don't sing live anymore. You just don't. And, people are always so scared of saying things like that. If you sing one song live, well, fucking hooray. But it's just a joke what people are charging for.
Celine, her voice is, when you hear it live, because I've heard it live, the hairs on the back of my neck just stand up. It is a God-given gift. It is so rare, this kind of talent.
It's rare. It is. It's once in 1,000 years voice. It's not just generational. It's something that surpasses what our idea of singing is, and it is perfect. Yes. So anyway, to see that clip, man, you have to let us know how that premiere goes and what it's about. But it's supposed to be very.
I think she's supposed to satellite in some way. Like I think there's supposed to be like So we'll see how it goes. It's Monday night. I'm so excited. I'm such a huge fan of hers. I just like all of her songs. I could just listen to them anytime and be like blown away by her talent and her fashion. My God, when she's on stage, the last tour she had, I just thought, like every look, the effort put into her when she goes on stage and the energy she puts out. I mean, I saw multiple people cry at multiple points throughout the show because like she reaches you like that. Yeah, so her fans.
She was built for it. She's built for the
She
stage.
was.
I mean,
And
I think
She loves to sing in the studio, but
when Chris, my road manager, and I, we went to the first show she did back after Renee had passed away. She took like a 3-month hiatus, and we were at that first show. I don't know how we ended up getting tickets to that, but we were, sitting there, and she opened the show with, "Are you watching me now? Watch closely now, your eyes are like fingers." Oh my God, it was that whole scene from, if you know A Star is Born, the Streisand. After Chris Christopherson dies, she comes back with this song, and she started with their version of this song, of a spotlight of her standing in front of this massive curtain. I was trying not to sob out loud like a freak. Chris was crying. The woman behind me was going,
I know.
It was,
but she
I've never
goes
seen anything
there.
like it.
Do you know what I mean? Like, she really goes there, and you don't always have to go there. And no one should have to, but that's just who she is. Like, she wants to do that. And so that is the painstaking part of her being removed from the stage, because she's an artist who likes to go there, goes there live,
And
gives
she's
that to her
French.
fans. And she's
So
French.
that's next level as far as the history of French performers, French singing, whether you're talking Edith Piaf, these singers that just were like, it's everything. It's their souls. Anyway, just had to speak to that, of catching that clip and how amazing it was. But we're probably running very close to being out of time right now. But yeah, if you guys get a chance to see it, it's coming out on Amazon. I believe it's the 25th of June. I will double check that. But it is a in-depth look at, I think they're not going to concentrate solely on the disease that she's been battling this last 3 or 4 years, but certainly her career. The documentary is all encompassing. I think you're going to take a look back at Celine's life. And if you don't know a lot about her early career and her manager, and who was to become her husband, I believe he was 30 years older than her, René Angelil, and their complex, long history together. But he basically mortgaged his house to do a record with Celine. He heard her, I think she was 9 or 10 years old, and that was it. And they didn't get together until she was in her 20s. So anyway, whatever your thoughts are on that, you can't always understand those things.
Yeah,
and
they
love
stayed
is
together
what
forever,
it is.
and they were truly in love. So
they were amazing partners, and they were, they had such a respect. And I had met them a number of times over the years together. Yeah. And it was very respectful. He was a really interesting man. Anyway,
I will give you my full review on the podcast next week, because I'm sure I'm going to love it.
Yes. Before we leave you, Sarah, any 4-hour golfing dates so far, or
no, nothing to report at this moment. Yeah.
Can I ask, just before we go, how your dad is?
Dad is doing really well. Thank you for asking.
Great. I didn't want to open with that, but I'm thinking about you and your family, and your mom and all the stuff you're going through whenever you're dealing with stuff like that. And I know, Caitlyn, you've had your own stuff with your mom and things going on. Lots of you girls are at an age where parents, shit starts happening.
Oh man, the hits keep coming, but
the hits keep coming. But you haven't had a cold for 3 weeks on this show.
Don't tempt. Oh my God, I'm knocking on every piece of, but no, we haven't. It's because it's outdoor season. And so it truly is the reprieve that we get from viruses for the summer.
Well, pictures of your son and his bestie, and the freaking ice cream, and the walking away hand in hand with the fucking jeans on.
I can't.
And I can't either. I simply cannot. The cuteness factor, and I know as a parent, you're probably going to say, it doesn't last. They grow up so fast. I'm sure you wake up every morning and you're like, Kyle, get in here. He's grown. He's not the same Kyle who put to bed.
Well, no, that does happen. He wakes up sometimes and I tell Kyle, I'm he got a software update overnight. He's just talking more. He's saying more things. So that really does happen. Every stage is cute, but yeah, you miss it. And you can see why, I can see why my grandmothers each had 10 and 8 children, because they were just we want a baby.
Yeah.
And you're yeah, babies are so cute. And as someone who didn't necessarily want one, and I was very vocal about that for a large portion of my life, the 180 I've done, care of Will, is really something because he's just this chubby little ball of joy. And I just love seeing how simple things make a baby's day. Like
It
ice cream.
reminds you of what happiness is. It
A turtle.
has to
He sees a
remind
turtle.
you,
That's it. He's like,
because
turtle, turtle.
that's exactly it. But why adults forget to do turtle or to look at something?
Yeah.
Like in Scotland, I ran around looking at all the plants I'd never seen in my life and colors that I honestly have never seen before. I'm looking at a flower going, is that blue? Is that purple? Is that pink? What the fuck is this color? And I'd be like, you guys, what is this color? And Lisa would go, I have no idea what color that is. And we didn't know what the smell was, like the cliffs. Scotland, I did not picture as beaches. So I get the simple things in life that you overlook. Birds, weird birds I'd never seen before. And just as one finale in this podcast today, I didn't take the metal detector. It's not a travel metal detector. It doesn't come apart and go into a bag that you put into your suitcase. When I unfolded the bag, it's 5 feet long. And it's just like a travel bag. So in lieu of that, I took my newly acquired engraving kit. It comes with 100 bits. It looks like a pen. I spent 8 days engraving beach rocks. Everyone got a beach rock with an angel, their names on it, the date. I'm crazy for this engraving thing. It does glass, it does ceramic, it does stone. You can do a wall, you can do wood. So I'm crazy nuts. I'm doing you guys a rock.
Great.
It's in the mail. Okay.
And but they came out at night. I'd be outside in the back of our little VRBO. They'd be having a drink, and I would just be madly engraving, covered in stone dust.
You were like a medieval, like you were in the medieval trades in another life. Like you were doing something like that. You were stone welding, or I don't know what, stone cutting, welding. You were a smith of some kind, blacksmith, ironsmith. I don't know.
Thank you. If I had mentioned Mary Queen of Scots one more time, I think they would have stabbed me in my sleep. I would go and I'd say to like whoever, tour guides, whatever, was Mary Queen of Scots here? Yeah, she came to the castle in 1549. And I bought a book finally. My friend Bev handed it to me. She goes, you might want to buy this. It's Where Mary Has Been. That's the name of the book. And it's this big, beautiful photographic book. And it was literally her life, where she was born, and all the castles that she visited in Scotland.
You bought it, right?
So she goes, now you don't have to ask. You can know where Mary has been and not been. So,
oh
yeah,
my
it was
God.
fascinating.
You're going to engrave your own tombstone. It'll be like, died doing what she loved, telling people about Mary Queen of Scots against their will.
My tombstone's going to say, I'll be back.
Great way to end the show. Good.
Anyway, and we will be back. We'll be back next week. I think, when's our summer playlist going up, Sarah Burke?
The first day of summer. It will
First
be
day of
published
summer.
on the first day of summer, which
Okay.
means that right now we can still take your voice notes. Keep them coming because we're still building.
Yep. Waiting to hear Caitlyn's summer jams. It might
all
be the
Bob
wheels on
Seger.
the bus go round and round, the summer edition.
Get ready.
With Calypso.
It's Bob Seger. It's Sabrina Carpenter. It's Buena Vista Social Club. It's Sister Nancy.
Oh.
I've got some sleeper hits on here for you.
Okay.
get 'em
Okay.
in.
Well, listen, once again, Sarah Burke, Caitlyn Green, thank you so much. You can go on to Jann Arden Pod. That is our handle on across all the social platforms. You can hear us wherever you hear your favorite podcasts, all the usual suspects. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for being you. Thanks to our sponsors. Shout out to Intact. Shout out to Wonder Bra. Shout out to, Cove. Come on, Cove. Where are you, Cove? And
You are over delivering on your sponsor mentions, by the way.
I know I am, but I love these people. And, if anyone wants to send us bras, Caitlyn and I will not be putting them on live on the air. We will not be doing that. Unlike
I
her,
could because I reach behind, so I technically could without seeing anything.
I can't. I got to do the spin around. And if I'm damp, I have to call 911.
I know. Forget it. If you just lotioned, if you're freshly lotioned, the worst.
Don't put on a sports bra and lotion. Don't do it.
Never.
Oh, God.
Do we have to tell you things? Do we actually have to have these conversations with you? So anyways, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. We appreciate you more than you know. We'll see you next time. Toodly-doo.